So what did we see today? It had its worst day. Well, guess what it did Friday? It raised $27 billion.
And let me ask you a question. How
What do
much
you?
has it
Let me
gone
just
up since we initially talked about it?
let me get the wheels down. Let me get the wheels down. Let me get the wheels down. You raised $27 billion in a day. You know what people are gonna do? Hey, let's take profit. This has no indication of where the story is or where the story is ending. This is a clear indication that expenditures need to be had on behalf of the company. Samsung, Micron are all doing the same. Demand hasn't changed. TSM, and if you read the early reports, and we'll talk about it hopefully later tonight, it's increasing. It's still increasing. Every quarter we say, wait, demand's going to slow down. Guess what, guys? Demand has not slowed down. The more compute we need, the more memory we need, right? If we're talking about agentic AI, if we're talking about robotics, if we're talking about autonomous vehicles, if we're talking about large language models, they're all going to need memory. They're all going to need, at that level, to have the highest performance, they're going to need high bandwidth, the leader in the world. And now this might come as a surprise.
Okay, now that the
58,
plan, yeah.
58% of the high bandwidth memory in the world comes from SK Hynix. 21% comes from Samsung. Another 21% comes from Micron. That's what this is. This story is not going anywhere. You shouldn't be fearful. You should look at this as an opportunity. Take it as one. All right, wheels
As
down.
at some point tonight, we're gonna talk about AI and the circular investment being an alleged fraud. The area
Area of AI that is not fraudulent is the memory component in NVIDIA. You loved Drum at 81, why do you hate it at 57? The other part about gatekeeping, about when the information is free, a lot of people push back and don't execute. A lot of you are not my brother in Queens. But a lot of other people are gambling, and even if their TF drags like 10%, this is how you're worried about one day and opposed to 2 years.
USB and USB-B.
Of maybe 70 to 80, 90%. My question for everyone in chat:
order one of those.
why are you afraid to hold long term? Even somebody like us today, hey, you can't get rid of the market going to go up or down year over year. Yes, I can. And in the last 10 or 15 years, we've only had 3 negative years. That's why everyone who can, even at Shock to the British guy, I talk about this stuff. I'm so long, let's stop. Where? So if you tell me that you think all American stocks, all ETFs,
crazy. Let me plug the microphone into this MPC then.
all portable capital, 401ks, then you think the entire country is going to go under. It's not perfect, but the stock market is probably wealth producing business. Why are you gambling? Hold for the long term.
Okay.
Or Rashad, give you a load of bull price. I'll be all on you for sure. If it gets to like 47.89, you should put a considerable amount of money into it and hold it for 5 years. But what you guys are doing is you're trying 20 grand in and go buy back 2 months later.
2 weeks later.
And use the capital.
We put in 20 grand and turned to 40 in
Y'all just went with the cons and had all the vlog recaps. Hold for the long term.
Out as hell. Real quick, somebody asked about Amco, so I'll just address that really quick. I think what you need to watch, especially if you're watching Amco, and this is another one, this is inside the community. Listen to TSM tomorrow. Listen to the demand, not just for manufacturing, because that's important. When people are going to start manufacturing their own chips, great. Listen to the packaging part of the conference call as well. If it continues to increase, Amcor is going to be an offshoot of that. Why? They're an American packaging company. They're number 3 in the world now, right? So like when they're talking about Arizona having a fab, a TSM fab, why is that important? Because even when they manufacture, think about this. Even when TSM manufactures, they send the chips back to Taiwan to package and then brought back to be used. How do you create a solution for that? You find a packaging company here, or you start creating your own packaging company. So they are doing that. The American packaging company, Amcor. But when you look at the demand tomorrow report, and I know that there's some tea leaves out there already.
Checking the mic.
To see the report.
Nothing.
Look at that demand in packaging manufacturing.
Okay. All right. Hit the like button and share. So there you have it. Some insight on Drum. If you're interested in SK Hynix. Okay.
In the nurture nature, you're right, Rashawn. I will do better.
I can only be
the last show of every month. I'll get back to different prices so you guys can not listen. Back to you, George.
I can only be an educator.
Okay. Pre-sale tickets to InvestFest ends tonight. Pre-sale tickets for all tickets and all booths. There's only 15 booths left. So if you want a booth, I do suggest that you go to InvestFest.com right now. And if you are planning on buying a ticket, I suggest you get it now because pre-sale ticket pricing will all Apple first opening show.
You know what we're talking about? The full story is kind of coming out. So OpenAI recruited Mr. Tan. He spent 24 years of Apple. He was a VP of product design. And all of a sudden, all the data of how Apple sells products, ideas, etc., goes to OpenAI. So it's co-founded with Johnny Ive. That's already interesting to say the least. But they emailed out supplier intel. This is going to be one of the biggest issues in Silicon Valley, I think, and this lawsuit is going to be major. And going back to picking enemies, Sam Altman did a terrible job of understanding that relationships matter, and you pick two of the most powerful people to have as your enemy.
I'm talking about real. Elon, then Apple,
and Elon Musk.
What the fuck? Man,
I told everyone else.
You win this shit.
For what data you put on ChatGPT, yes, and ChatGPT.
You got to be a formidable motherfucker. I ain't gonna lie to you. That would be quite a difference.
But at this scale is insane, and it goes back to character of the company. There's a lot of things in that hit piece that you can say were salacious, but if you go read that book, all of those things are not a lie. Also, too, for Microsoft,
that book that recently was about saying about me,
and that's why they're doing their partnership now with.
I forgot the name of it.
And
it's like blue and purple.
They just bought one of these companies, opposed to just leaning on OpenAI. Apple, even though it hit an all-time high today, I was looking. I'm like, Apple probably would have been at 700 if they would have got this AI race. Correct. But picking the right partner is
for
everything.
Sure.
And
whatever like a $6 trillion market cap for sure
into the company. So just to let you know really quick, and they're giving Oracle some issues as well. In the last 72 hours, they had a safety quit. They were sued by the New York Times. Top executive departs. They shut down their browser tool after 9 months. They sued for trade theft by Apple. They caught selling product to China against sanctions. I keep telling you, there's a lot of tech companies in the United States of America that are being spies, allegedly, for China or highest bidder.
That felt like a perfect segue because this is an interesting time. I'm going to read a quote here from kind of a person who is in that alleged spy mode. Gentleman's name is Chen Liu. He was allegedly utilized undiscovered authentication bug on an unreturned Apple laptop to access shared note folders. He allegedly downloaded dozens of highly confidential hardware files, including technical specifications for unreleased products and proprietary circuit boards, leaving messages mocking Apple about what I found. So here's the crazy part. This suit happens at an interesting time.
See?
Right?
What you found, see, the market shit.
Timing. Yep. Timing is everything.
Okay.
Time is important. So we know OpenAI is supposed to, what was supposed to
go public.
Somewhere here in the next few weeks.
Yeah, they pushed it back to next year.
Interesting timing. John
sure.
also has left Apple to join forces over at
earlier this year.
A huge thing, and we covered it here. But Apple Apple suing them about trade secrets tells me a few things. It tells me they know something or they've seen something that they want to get ahead of because IP is in question. I want everybody, this is the homework assignment today.
Yeah,
This is the homework assignment I'm giving out on your behalf. I want everybody to search Project Sweet Pea. OpenAI Project Sweet Pea. Why is that important? Because second half of 2026, OpenAI is going to not only release more software, they're going to release their quote-unquote or alleged hardware product. What is it? There's a few. There's a smart glass that allegedly is on its way, a digital voice recorder, and a wearable pin. Right? Now we're starting to look at how we're going to use AI going forward in the future. Will it look like this? Right? Or will it look like a small device that can just be attached to you? If OpenAI can get ahead of that and be first to market with that, the innovation is going to be there. How many users will you have? I think Apple knows that this is coming, and because they know it's coming, let's get this out there. Let's get off the internet and let's put this suit out there. Now, this is all just
They're ramping up the hardware. I mean, the software.
This is in terms
It's
of
2 minute documents. And not to cut you off, if you're going to steal data from one of the largest international companies, how about you not touch your friends about it?
or mock the people that you took it from.
Yes.
Either one of those things, man, I'm telling you.
The timing of it, the idea of what is coming down the pipeline, I think there's a lot more to the story. We're going to see a lot more. But again, that talks to leadership. It also talks about poaching from talent, right? The fact that John Ive left tells you that, okay, Apple, from an innovation standpoint, may be lacking, but OpenAI may be.
So there's opportune timing.
His company over in terms of innovation.
It's like they want to get ahead of something. They want to preempt for sure.
We should be looking for a product within the next 3 months.
Next 3 months.
Product, not just a software one,
For
not
sure.
an update, a hardware product.
To be launched, because right ahead of the holiday season.
And OpenAI they're saying the number is 400. I talked to my friend at Apple. It's more like 550 employees that post.
Yeah.
And why
When
did
I seen that 400, I said, damn.
22 years ago. The other part is, Rashad, you talk a lot about managing relationships. The way that Johnny Ive exited, when they did that commercial together, I said, it's war. It's a wartime. So much so that even Elon, to get revenge, he turned, if you go read his prospectus, SpaceX is an AI company, and he did that solely to eat market share from Sam Altman. Now, look very soon for SpaceX and Apple to have a partnership. The thing that you don't factor on when you guys want to have war and have beef is what if these teams get together and start to wage war? It's tough.
Boy, that shit is,
I think it won't just be Apple that has a SpaceX partnership. I say that's the next topic. But I think in terms of where we're headed for compute and what it looks like here and what it looks like in the overall economy, another space economy, I think that he's going to create a monopoly where they're all going to need him. I think that's where we're headed.
Well, we'll see, but you want to talk about SpaceX now? Hit its all-time low. It went from $225 all-time high to around $134, which is actually lower than what it IPO'd at. So, and once again, if it doesn't make sense, it doesn't make sense. But $2 trillion valuation for a company that has $18 billion in revenue never makes sense in any world or universe or multiverse.
What's it, almost
Or
50?
galaxy or metaverse.
It's almost
You can't make
50X.
sense out of nonsense. And for you guys out there, you can't make sense out of nonsense.
50X. Let me make sure.
It never made sense.
Or I'm doing
I mean,
rough
$1.2
math.
trillion valuation for a company that has $18 billion in revenue doesn't make sense, to be honest with you, in my opinion. So,
Yeah, multiple.
okay, where do we stand with SpaceX now?
To my brother from Queensbridge, I'm giving 2 prices that I think it's going to. $89.23 is one price that I think it can fall to, and I haven't even put this in Stock Club yet. And then the worst case scenario can get to $69.63. So 89.23 and 68.63 are two prices that it could fall to. Lastly, put in check, how many more months do we have before it is even eligible for you to put it in your portfolio? Wait, this is the reason why. If you look at that macro picture of IPOs since 1999, the average drawdown is 51.2%.
After IPO?
The stock is going to be here for 30 years. You're not missing out if you miss out on the first 6 months. Now, in terms of its value, the value is there. I think just the revenue and IP that is there from Starlink alone makes it incredibly valuable. And I've argued, I think you should take Starlink alone public. But this is a classic example of that every equity obeys pricing laws. It happened with MicroStrategy last year, it's happening this year. And Troy, I'm sure you're hearing it too in the memory. Like, some will come down 10% and they're like, oh, it's the beginning of the crash. It ran up 1,400%. Like a 10% pullback is a lot. So it's best to wait post-IPO. There's no ADR, no exception. Wait 6 months. If you're not in the pre-IPO, you have to wait 6 months before all the settlement dates clear up. But long-term, is the company valuable? Yes. I just think people overpaid for the current price it is on.
Well, he also said that if SpaceX accomplished their goals, SpaceX will be more valuable than everything else on Earth.
Mm-hmm. Who's that? Who said that?
Elon Musk said it.
Yeah, Elon Musk said that.
I'm you.
He got to chill with that.
Earth itself, not like not just every company on Earth, like the Earth, like the actual Earth. Like he's like, if they accomplish their goal, SpaceX will be more valuable than the actual Earth.
Can I say this? There could be no lunar economy. I'm listen. If you go through the prospectus, it's a master class in financial gaslighting. Rashad, you brought this up. He will put out a metric that is unachievable. Just think about it. And this is how you know if an investment case is good. If someone of another background said it, would it be believable? If I told you I'm taking a company public and the company is going to be so valuable, it's going to be worth more than every asset on earth, you will call me a fucking idiot. I'm not saying that he is. But no, there will be no lunar economy that surpasses Earth's value within the next 20 years. I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news. Is the company valuable? Just only phone, yes. But I think we have to check some of the wild statements, financial statements that are given that no one else will be able to get away with.
I will answer the first part of the question by saying, is it a buying opportunity? Yeah, you still wait. Do I still have the shares? Yeah, I'm part of that's pre-IPO for retail. SpaceX is interesting because at a certain point, I think it will match its valuation. The more I read about it, the more partnerships I see, the more I understand.
I'm saying it's long term.
The mission.
It's long term.
Like when we were talking about Sundar at Google and how he was trying to put data centers out in space, part of it was the logistics. How do you do it? Well, you need rockets. Well, who has that? SpaceX. When you talk about compute and what it means to the AI space, who has that? Well, he has that too, right? And they're building at a speed that they could become one of the most valuable companies on the planet. Now, you can't put a valuation on Earth. That doesn't make sense. But you look at the partnership last week with Anthropic, which maybe it went over people's heads, but that's a huge deal, right? To have what Anthropic is doing, for them to say we're coming to you for compute, to say that pretty much we're coming to you for power, speaks to the now, but it also speaks to the next 5 years. Where will that power come from? Who can get us unlimited access to it? We already broke down, obviously from a solar standpoint, of having unlimited power. The cost associated with getting it out there, having reusable rockets, having that at your disposal is a key. We're not even going to talk Starlink. We understand what that is. But then I saw Microsoft partner with them as well. And then I'm starting to see, obviously Google's already tied in. The more hyperscalers you start to see look at SpaceX as an opportunity to partner, that should be telling you something in terms of how we're going to do power in the next 10 to 15 years, or what it's going to look like. and who has the clear advantage in that. And it's them. It's not even close. Like the margin between them and the second place is probably the greatest.
Especially in the States, yeah, it's the widest margin.
And I can't think of a sector where a number two is that far away from them in this sector. So yes, will it be an opportunity? For sure. Is it something you should have in your portfolio? I have it in mind. It's going to stay in mind. And we'll see after the lockup, maybe a year, we'll look to add some more.
Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, really quick. His only opposition is the government of China. So keep your eyes on their development. That's his only real competition. But wait until the earnings report comes out to see what the margins are and what the revenue is. Like, stay away from the headlines and actually go to prospectus and go see what the margins are like in terms of growth and what projected growth is. You look at the numbers, like the earnings call is one thing, because even those can be performative. But if you can't fake, put this in chat, you can't fake free cash flow. And that's the thing that's going to hurt a lot of AI companies. A lot of people are talking about the circular investment, and that Ponzi allegedly is going to come to an end soon, probably next year or end of next year. Free cash flow is the thing that you need to measure.
So think about this, right? We can talk about the revenue now. The Anthropic deal alone, just the Anthropic deal, is a $45 billion deal over the next 2 years. So that's an average of like $15 billion a year for not even
1.1 a quarter a month.
300 megawatts of power and over 220,000 NVIDIA GPUs. So they're getting access to that. That's from the Colossus data center in Memphis. That's not even a gig. That's right.
Yeah,
like, that's not a gigawatt of power. That's less than that, and it's 15 billion. Anthropic's not even public yet, and they're already allocating 15 billion to a company because they understand what's at stake here in terms of power and terms of
gigawatts about a gigawatt.
That lineage, if we follow that trend, you can start to see revenue starting to build up really quickly, right? 15 billion here. Microsoft, what's the allocation Microsoft does? What is Meta?
How many megawatts you say? Because gigawatts.
Everything we are watching.
Yes, sir. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention the InvestFest Singles Lounge. We announced the InvestFest Singles Lounge. We're doing it this year, and the RSVP list is closed to women. There are only slots open for men left. There's 22 slots open for men. The women, it's open for women. If that should tell you something.
That should tell you something for sure.
First come, first serve. If you have an InvestFest ticket, it's already free. It's part of the program. It's during lunch, so you don't miss any of the educational.
What does that tell you?
Go to investfest.com and fill out the tab. It says a lot about the times that we're in, but we'll talk about that on Blackout.
What you mean?
No, I can't go do.
Well, I mean, we have a singles event, and
Troy, you're right. Screen. Ooh. Yep.
All right, next segment.
We have a singles event where at least 60 to 65% of the people that come to InvestFest are men. So the majority of the people that come to InvestFest are men. We have a singles event, and the women's RSVP is filled up. So women make up the minority of the people that's coming to InvestFest.
And it's already sold
already
out.
reached capacity on registrations for a singles event.
That's a nice little ratio, yeah.
It's a lot of opportunity.
Great ratio.
My co-host with you.
It's a lot of opportunity for the fellas. That's what it says.
Says a lot about the times
A
that
lot
we
of
have.
opportunity to find the right one. Live happily and peacefully
That's what it's about.
and have joy.
That's what it's about.
Prosperity.
That's what it's about. And love, bro. I compare back. I should. What? Eternal happiness.
You said you asked Aisha that?
I'm like, wait.
Yeah. I said, what about love?
Oh,
Go
yeah,
tune
yeah,
in. If you guys haven't seen it, go watch the episode with Aisha Diaz, classic continue. I'm trying to do that.
Shout out to Aisha. That was definitely a viral moment, for sure.
For sure.
We'll talk about it on Blackout. I do think that it's interesting, and it's actually a microcosm of what's actually happening in the real world. And there's like at least 5 different conversations from that stat. That can be broken down. Let's talk about Disney. Disney streaming future.
I got a question for you guys. I was pondering earlier.
Let's go.
And I'm going through what can be done to fix some of America's top brands. Do you think it's time for Disney to sell off their streaming service and focus on the parks? Because the business is in decline. The park revenue is solid. The Dubai edition, I think, is great. But do you think because they jumped into it during COVID, they didn't really plan out how for this thing to work long term? So I don't want to lead you, but I was thinking, should one of the first initiatives that they have to turn the company around be to sell off the streaming business?
I would say,
really quick, if I told you they have parks, licensing, merchandise, ESPN, and then when the streaming service came out, 100 million people was on it, you would think that would outperform Apple, and it's underperformed majority of American brands.
The second part is true. I would say no. I don't think you sell off streaming. And when I looked at the question, it made me realize something that I should have realized earlier. When you think about where we're headed in terms of just the world, right? Like AI has come here, technology is changing things, social media has changed things. But last night and this weekend told me something very, very important. People still love experiences.
In person, yes.
Experiences. And so then I started thinking to myself, when I look at Netflix, #1 streamer by subscribers for sure, they have the content, they have the viewership, but do they have experiences? Right? Like, I've been to a stranger.
Yes, they do.
Oh, let me finish. I've been to a Stranger Things pop up. I've seen a few pop-ups, but are there enough in-person live experiences from the content that they create? Yes, they got Monday Night Raw in terms of WWE, and that's very important. But that's an entity that was brought in.
They got what?
Right? They got live sports. That's important. But I'm talking about from a standpoint of your content. Here's what Disney, I think, missed. And they had this for most of the 90s. Create characters. They did an excellent job with that. You turn those characters into theme park attractions. They did an amazing job with that. You turn those characters from the amusement park into a cruise experience. They did an amazing job with that. Those cruise experiences lead to experiences at the hotel. Now it's a hotel experience. They did a great job with that. You can merchandise that. You can license that. What do you have? Recurrent family experiences. What have they gotten away from? They've gotten away from doing that, staying in that pocket. Why? They wanted to compete with Netflix and say, let's get as much content that we can to try to get more subscribers. That part that they left out was the part that got them in. So if you listen to the concrete property that they have, the intellectual property in terms of character being part of that cycle. Marvel. Think about how many people are in that universe that they can actually use that for. Star Wars, Pixar, right? We just saw Toy Story did $1 billion. Now
Moana flop, yo.
No, that's a flop. That's a flop.
Yeah.
Moana's a flop. Pixar, Disney Animations, they have ESPN, so they have live sports as well. They've got to figure out how to create that experience and turn it back into the company that got them here. Instead of trying to compete to be the #1 streamer, use your advantage. You have the property that people know that you can create experiences from. You should be doing it.
Rashad, what do you think? Being a media icon, like if I told you, hey, I got a business for you, it's 100 million subscribers on the app, but we're losing money. It's a 50-year, like for context. Disney was at 208 in 2021. Mm-hmm. Like Disney has a chance to go back to lows from 2017. Rashad, what are your thoughts? What would you do differently, and what do you think they went wrong?
They outdated brand. You have to skew young. So even streaming, like for me, and we can talk about this on Blackout, and I'll make this quick. But maybe I'm giving them too much credit. But Dean and AB, if they're doing what I think they're doing, is actually the most brilliant and most intriguing thing I personally have ever seen in my whole entire life. Because what I think that they're doing is that when AB came out and he's drunk, he's 300 pounds, it's embarrassment, it's the whole thing, right? Now he's doing a 45-day challenge, cleaning up, he stopped drinking, he's working out. I feel like we like movies. This is Rocky. This in real life.
Yeah.
This is real, and it's everything. It's a person that was on top, that fell, a redemption story. All you need now is like an arch enemy. Like we've never seen a movie play out in real time.
In real time.
If they can get this to the finish line, this is probably the most brilliant thing that I've ever seen. Like I said, maybe I'm giving them too much credit. Maybe that they just doing this by coincidence. But I have a suspicion that they kind of have this thing planned out. I say that to say, I think that's the next iteration of streaming. Whereas it's not just doing dumb shit and you just watching somebody iron their clothes and like the Mr. Beast, like he's ahead of his time. Like I think it's like instead of people watching movies, they're gonna watch streaming, which is actually going to give them the same emotions and the same feelings as a movie, but it's going to be better because it's going to be a real person in a real. So you're going to see a real. They're already kind of doing it with the love story thing, but like a real love story. Like you're going to see a real, and everybody can relate to losing weight, and that's why Rocky was such a good movie because it's like training, losing weight, boxing. All of these movies, they bring out emotions in people. And if they can capture that in like real life with the film, so long story short, Disney, I think that they need to revamp their whole game plan of how they're looking at content and take chances, be cutting edge. Like iShowSpeed should be on Disney.
Disney, Kai, or Streamers University should have been on Disney. Like what are you doing?
So there's a couple of things. The weight loss thing is real. Mr. Beast actually has done this, right? Like you had the guy who you couldn't leave the circle until he lost 50 pounds. So you watch that journey. His shows are just compelling. My question is, I feel like Disney does skew young. I think the issue was they couldn't figure out how to skew older demographic, right? Like we already know kids are watching, but adults subscribe. And so it's part of the reason why they had to get that Fox Searchlight and get that catalog because now the movies are PG-13 and hey, we have rated R. So what's y'all thoughts around that? Like, was skewing young the issue or were they trying to skew to another demographic and kind of got lost?
Disney?
Yeah.
Well, they got caught up in the whole political situation and that was that was a tailspin for them.
Right. If we know you for kids content, now you're trying to put rated R content to, you know what I'm saying?
It's not this opposite of the brand. And the other part is that no one wants to say is you can tell that the executives there don't eat dog food. Like they don't love the product that they're putting out.
Yeah.
The difference is like when we make the content, like the content change our lives.
You can to
they're just operating. Like Disney currently has
who they skew to the kid, like younger. It's very young kids.
I don't know.
They subscribe
how
on
you have the same
YouTube
profit margin for a streaming app as you do physical real estate.
Yeah, it's a bit confusing, even for them, right? If you go to Amazon Prime,
yeah, but they don't have more edge
of the properties in there. Hulu's its own app. ESPN's its own app. Disney Plus is its own app, but you can get all of them from it. It's like if it was one precise thing, it would be much easier.
Prime is inside of Amazon. Like keep everything in one center. They almost run it like how internet marketers run it, and they have all these different URLs across the web. consolidate it and put it in house. But once again, a lot of like when you see Nike's executive leadership, you can tell they didn't grow up like a Nike.
Well, you know.
These are my thoughts only.
You know, YouTube is owned by Google.
Breaking news.
Go on Instagram.
That's
Meta.
That's Meta.
Boy, stop it.
Breaking news.
Boy, stop it.
Breaking news
We're
alert.
gonna talk about that too on Blackout. All right, let's quickly get through this next topic so we can bring our guest up. Oil. What's oil's next big move?
I think all already we're saying back to where it should after maybe 60, 70 days, the same ones to invest in that time. Check my those legacy companies going to change the plan according to the Iran conflict or respond or back to you guys.
Best bank to own?
JP. I like Hughes Morgan a lot. And Goldman Sachs. Bank of America. I Brian Moynihan as a CEO. I wish he was elsewhere, but I wouldn't invest in Bank of America. I know super weak for earnings. I would not touch Wells Fargo personally with a 100-foot pole. So JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs are the two that I would know.
JP is the unanimous decision. Yeah, that would be my first choice. I always like to throw a sleeper. I think I gave it away maybe last year, but it's performed pretty well. City, you got on City.
The City side.
You got on there.
Yeah, turbulent post 2008. Turbulent. It's a classic case of building a base though, and then once it finally broke out, it went up to the upside. But man, for those 5 or 6 years or 7 years that it was like at the same price, oh my god. But it's a classic example. If you get thousands of shares at a low price and you wait, it will pan out in your favor.
Earnings versus story.
Go ahead, Trey. I want to ask you, do you think in the second half of the year, do you think more investors are going to focus on earnings and free cash flow, or more so on the story that's there outside of the new space?
I think this is the quarter where the earnings, again, I feel like every quarter they look at it and say, okay, let's see if the earnings, because companies are making money, the free cash flow is there, if they have great future guidance, that means that there's growth that's still happening. Every quarter it feels like that has happened. There's kind of been a highlight on the second half of this year to see if there will be turbulence. Obviously, we know this is a midterm year, so we know the statistics around that. We understand that IPOs are coming to the market. There's at least 3 more huge ones, that potentially $1 trillion IPOs that are going to hit the market. So, there's going to be noise around that. I think this quarter is going to set up the trend for the rest of the year. If we see demand from AI continuing, if we see financials still having growth, I think we have a pretty solid rest of July, and that'll lead into a pretty good second half of the year. So I think the earnings, specifically in this quarter, will be the quote-unquote story, other than saying, hey, this stock is having a great moment. What is the overall theme, right? What are we seeing from each sector? What is industrial telling us? What is, consumer discretionary telling us, right? What are utilities telling us? What is technology telling us? Let's see if there's like a percentage. I know like a lot of times we want to see earnings, and as the S&P goes, we want to see like a 75 to 78% of those companies having a good earnings report or good future guidance. Let's see where that number falls this quarter. I'll be interested, but I'm optimistic about it.
Okay. Let's get one more. Biggest missed stock.
Well, even better, is circular investment going to be the cause of the collapse or market correction in 2027?
You want to start that?
So let's save that for after. Like that's probably a longer conversation.
Okay. Okay, I'm with that. Someone asked me, is there a stock that you missed that was the biggest investment that you wish you could have reinvested in? And I'll say publicly, I don't have any post-IPO. I think you have to calibrate your portfolio, your trading together. So like whatever I may have missed in a particular stock that may have ran up, I can make it up in futures. So I think the best lesson is to be able to get the gains that you want
I ended up in another window
by trading the right asset. I told you 100 times about how I couldn't convince family to invest in the Facebook in the family round that cost $40, $50 million. The post that I haven't had what the future is a way to use options to express that you have to know how to be able to get a 2,000% return on your own, so you're not waiting or chasing a bunch of stocks. But if you have the right companies in your portfolio, you really don't feel like you missed out on a hell of a lot. But do you guys have one that you missed out on that you wish you could have invested in?
Yeah, I spoke about it, I think last week or maybe a few weeks ago.
Last week.
I understand the memories out there and investing in Micron, investing in SanDisk, and investing in, ETFs, SMH, and XOXL, or XOXX actually, and XOXL. And then knowing that story and saying, all right, let me pick one, and then not just grabbing all of them. And so, Western Digital is on that list. Seagate's on the list too. I made both go up over 800%. Obviously, having Micron makes it a little bit better, but yeah,
For sure.
it's all right. You can't have more, although you want to. Get your ETFs.
For sure. And hold drawn or VGT or VTI, QQQI for a long period of time. And we got some pushback last week about the Trump account thing. It only takes 5 minutes to sign up, and some people that have a kind of $300,000 to put capital in the chip. So
Does it feel
Hit the like button and share. 6,100 people
I love you guys.
currently on the check-in. So let's bring our guest up, shall we? How's it going?
Hey, good. How are y'all doing?
Good, my brother. How are you? Good to see you.
Good. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank y'all for having me.
Thank you for joining us. Ernie Holloway, Regional Director at Charles Schwab Wealth Advisory at Charles Schwab. Helps clients build long-term wealth through personalized planning and investment strategies. He's been in the financial services industry for 17 years. He's a certified financial planner, CFP. And for full disclosure, Charles Schwab is actually my broker.
Yeah.
Mine too.
Yeah, that's Charles Schwab account as well. My first account was Charles Schwab. Yeah.
Charles Schwab. You're in good hands with Charles Schwab. So first and foremost, thank you for joining us. Appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure.
So, all right, we got to ask a lot of questions. But my first question is, how did you get to this point? How did you get the position that? Because I was actually in the financial services industry before this, so I was in the financial services industry for 12 years. Very difficult career path, and a lot of people don't make it through. They get in and then they get right out. So it's not easy to climb up the ranks in the financial service industry. So just for the audience, can you give your background of where you started and how your career got to this point?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a great question. I appreciate the opportunity. Probably hear some similarities between your journey, Shad, and yours as well, Ian, because I've been listening for a while. I got started in the industry in 2009. At first, I was working in real estate. I was living in Stockton, California at the time, the home of foreclosures or BPOs. Was doing well in that, but realized that's a short-term thing, and I really want to help people not be in that position. So while I was still going to school, I got an internship at a small company called Skytrade, which maybe one is familiar with. So I was an intern there. Hey, good to see you, Troy. I was an intern there in Stockton and working there as I was finishing my degree to learn more about the industry. I had heard the story about Chris Darden from Pursuit of Happiness, watch Wall Street, watch Boiler Room, all the things where you see people excitedly talking about how they're using trade to build wealth. And I didn't come up with financial literacy. Military brat, mostly it was making sure we had food on the table and the car ran didn't stop on the side of the freeway was the big goals and the big financial plan that we had. I was an intern for about a year. They saw what I was capable of, so they gave me an opportunity to get licensed through the broker trainee program. I did that for about 7 months, and then through a couple of life happening, I was open to making a move out of California, and I went to St. Louis to their headquarters to do my broker training, and they were talking about starting a new department, which was basically a point person to help support all the branches, because they had 500 at the time, as well as to work on business continuity and projects. The way I looked at it, and something my dad always taught me, is you go where opportunity is, you don't wait for it to come to you. And I was trying to reduce my learning curve as much as possible by just getting exposure. And I knew being in Stockton or being in Oakland, I got exposed to Stockton, Oakland problems. If I go to HQ, I'll get exposed to everybody's issues and challenges and learn different ways of overcoming them. So I went to St. Louis, and I lived there for 4 years and had different roles. Was an analyst for a while, did negotiations, helped roll out advice at Scottrade, and then learn more about consultative conversations and how to position advice to clients. From there, I went to Arizona to be a branch manager in West Phoenix, in Goodyear, if you're familiar with it. And then was able to make some really great growth there in a short period of time. So I was acquiring more responsibility. And I will say this, the places I've named so far were not on my bingo card, right? I didn't get up, grow up in Oakland and think, hey, I want to go to St. Louis, or I want to go to the desert, right? When you live that close to water, it's a great weather. But I digress. Ended up going to Chandler, Arizona. I was living there, and the Scottrade got bought by TD Ameritrade. And at that given point in time, I was newly married at that point. I had to make a tough decision now. Do I roll the dice and let see what happens to me, or do I control my fate by making a decision, maybe even a comfortable one? And I did. I prayed over it, and I ended up applying for a job at Schwab to come down to Tucson, Arizona, to be a branch manager there. And that was relatively unheard of at that point. Usually leaving Scottrade and going to Schwab and being a branch manager was like taboo.
Yeah.
But I learned by going to a market that wasn't highly desirable at that point in time, that's your way in, right? And that was what I learned prior. So I went to Tucson, did a lot of similar things where I changed the culture, changed the engagement, helped produce healthy more family in a way that gave us higher CPF scores. And I learned more about tax trust and estate planning there because Tucson's a retirement bank for a lot of clients. And this is for 2015, 2016, 2017, so through the first Trump presidency. So there's a lot of growth in the market, a lot of embedded capital gain, and folks are always worried about how do I not pay Uncle Sam, and how do I make sure my money goes where it's supposed to go. So I got exposure to that department that helped us help a family that was selling a small business, and that stoked a lot of passion in me to learn more about that. Because it's like, oh, we can nickel and dime, but if you really want to build wealth, you want to create legacies of financial well-being, you got to find ways to facilitate wealth transfer from generation to generation. And it doesn't have to be a large or a small business. It can be something as small as a house or a car. It's just how do you keep things not going back into the wealth and continue to pass down? That inspired me to get my CFP. And I became the leader of the tax trust and estate team for the eastern half of the country. So that moved me to DFW. I live in Dallas now. I've been here for about 4 years. I did a really good job of spreading what I call the good news of what tax trust and estate can do for you. Maybe should have been a military recruiter in another lifestyle, but that led me to be exposed more to Schwab Wealth Advisory and how we can holistically help clients, not just in tax trust and estate, but in holistic financial planning, banking, credit, risk management, insurance, all the things. And I got exposure then to who's the managing director of the department. He asked me to come over and run one of his regions, which he gave me Chicago as my first region. I'd never been to Chicago before, which is funny when you say you lived in St. Louis for 5 years, but never been. Went there and fell in love quickly. What you see on the news, what you experience in the city, it's kind of like the stock market, right?
Yeah,
what you hear
exactly.
in the news, what you experience with your own hands, feet, knowledge, it's always a different experience. Had a lot of success there, and I got more territory, so I ended up getting this region called Heartland, which stretched from Boise to Milwaukee and down. Had a lot of great results there, recruited a lot of great people, a lot of people that look like us, that I think also helped the offer grow, to where I finally got the Sun Belt region, which is where I am now, which is Texas, Alabama, Mississippi, and Arkansas.
You brought up Scottrade, which is interesting because I said that Schwab was my first account. Scottrade was my actual first account in 2008. When you had to pay $7 to buy a share and pay $7. I don't know nothing about that. All right, everything's free now. But and we've been working with shout out to the team at Schwab. Our guy Alvin has been on Market Mondays. Been helping clients own their tomorrow. I kind of like that phrase. Talk about the process of how you guys are helping people own their tomorrow.
Yeah, that's a great thing for us to bring up. I think what we do really well is we remove as many barriers to entry as possible. You talked about the $7 trade that Scottrade was famous for, in addition to the helicopter, right? I came to Schwab maybe 18 months later. We went to zero commission because we realized how much of a barrier that is to people either taking profit, like I heard you say earlier in the show, like leave every week with your paycheck, don't leave your capital out there, right? And some people, strangely enough, will use $7 as a reason not to make it, or $4.95 not to make it, right? So removing the barriers because of cost, because cost matters, whether it's in advised money or it's in just normal day-to-day trade. So one way is removing the barrier with cost. Secondly, education. We're trying to be similar to EYO, but Schwab's YouTube channel is the most followed, most popular channel of the financial services industry because we give a lot of free education out. From simply how to look at the markets, how to look at technical analysis, to how to open up brokerage accounts. We also opened up teen accounts. I didn't learn how to invest because depending on how you grow up, a custodial account may not be on the board for you. Your first brokerage account may come with your driver's license, right? It may come at 18 or 19. So now that we have teen accounts and we're giving folks an earlier opportunity to invest and to learn more about compound interest and how it works, and then also giving education seminars at the local branch level to help people be more comfortable with how to build long-term wealth. That's another way that I believe we're helping. And then you mentioned Alvin, Schwab Bank. It's the investor's bank. We don't charge fees for mostly anything, right? AT&T are reimbursed. It's easily and it's convenient to have connected to your brokerage account so you can get your weekly paycheck out, depending on how you're doing in the market. And overall, finding ways to lower barriers for clients by looking at things through their eyes. Are we going to be expensive? No. Are we going to add a lot of value? Yes. Because we're going to educate you, and then we're going to help you also stand on your own too, so you can help somebody next to you.
In your opinion, like, what's the one biggest financial mistake you see people make that stops them from building wealth long term?
It's the same mistake I see people make anywhere in their life. They use it as money to drive their decision. Fear is very painful, and since you're in the industry, you understand that people have more impact by losing than they have by winning. I think it's like 3x as much pain. So when being off the war with Iran, right? Yeah. So when something has dropped 400 points, they could have bought a tech stock or XLK on Friday. They see that dip. No, I can't lose my money on that.
Yeah.
Right? So to me, that's a really big part of how people lose wealth because one, you pay a tax, you get it out quick, but then you don't ever get to see them in your own self to more inflation by trusting just a normal bank account. It works on the other end too, right? When you convince you're always right, and you get a bit foolish, and you keep trying to hit that slot machine, and you just hurt yourself that way. So I would say fear and irrational exuberance, and I kind of consider them
irrational
exuberance. Same coin.
Same sword, yeah.
Man, you said something insightful. I gotta He said, Charles Schwab manages $13 trillion of assets, if I'm not mistaken. And, it's very humbling what you said, that, in the media space, we've given you some inspiration. We've given you some inspiration. I appreciate it. CFP, I know you study estate planning. Let's talk about some estate planning strategies from HALA, whatever you want to bring it. Can you give the audience some information that they need to know? When you talk about the transfer of wealth and how it should be done, give us some information you can on estate planning and what people are not doing correctly.
Yeah, absolutely. The money is basic, setting the will, so we know what happens to your physical goods on your mind. The family gifting limit, ultimately. And I'll cover a bit of everything in between. But let me first say this. I'm always amazed how little people plan for something that's a certainty. Right. Like we all know we don't have our time to go, but we never want to talk about it, and we never want to take the preparation to ensure that we leave people in good state, especially those that we love and care about. So with that being said, I'll go into this. If you have physical property and you don't have a lot of love, it's set that up. You don't want this to be rummaged through. It's important to you. They can be family heirlooms. It could be your baseball card, right? But you got to have something in writing that says where you want your things to go here belong. Step further, we talk about. You guys talk a lot about healthcare, whether you're talking about self-sector rotation or just some service that we're going to use, or that we see AI going into and making some advancements. Caring about your medical stuff, right? What happens if you become incapacitated? Who's your medical POA? Who's the first durable power of attorney? Who's the person going to make decisions for you if and when you can? Because sometimes
let's talk about that, because that's something that we really have to talk about a lot. But I was in the living will. A living will sometimes is just as important as an actual will, right? Like the power of attorney, healthcare proxy. Living will important.
Yeah, because it covers a couple of things. One, talking about your physical well, but it also talks about which is something in order to happen to you. Where it talks about being resuscitated or not. It talks about what to do with your bank accounts. It talks about what to do with your and these things can constantly be monitored. These are part of the thing called living. It's kind of like a revocable living trust. Right? They continue to be modified until you're not here. I think to always be, especially if you're a couple, being that together and to be on the same page, because it's the side of the state planning. Because when the two sides don't know what's happening, I think it's important to be something that you discuss and have together. And then also, if you feel comfortable, share with those who are important to you so they know your system and debate it in an emotional time.
And especially, I just want people to know the power of attorney is very important. Because a lot of people, we see this happen with Wendy Williams, right? Like, a lot of people are living, but they might have Alzheimer's, they might have dementia, they might be in a coma, they might be incapacitated, they might have a stroke. And that's a whole mess within itself, because it's like, who has the right to your bank account? Who has the right to actually access your investments? Who has the right to pay your mortgage? All these things. If you don't outline that, then the court, they can do whatever they want to do, whatever, however they feel. And like I said, it's an unfortunate situation, but Wendy Williams is somebody that is a high-profile person that's relatively still young, that's actually going through this in real time. So that power of attorney is something that people could. Can you just talk about also the estate planning process from like transferring wealth give us some game on transferring wealth.
Yeah, if I could, just real quick before I go forward, I think another case other than Wendy Williams was Britney Spears, but people always look at it negatively.
Yes.
Versus looking at what could be the positives of it. So estate planning, what's important? Titling is very important, and who your beneficiaries are is also very important. Any asset that you have that's in your name, especially if you're not married, you want to take time to name a beneficiary. You have to do this with your 401k, your retirement account, your 457, whatever you have as a retirement vehicle is generally your spouse or is your estate. One is a good answer, door number 2, because door number 2 might go to probate. You want to look at contingent beneficiaries if you can, especially about retirement accounts. And the reason why I'm saying this is because of the law changes within 10 years. So you want to focus on who's your beneficiaries and make sure every asset you have has one designated. That's the easiest and cheapest way to do your estate plan. But if you have more assets or you have intangible assets, you want to look at potentially setting up a trust if this is what makes sense for you. And that could be a practical for everything right now while you're alive, want it to be a living trust, or it can be a receptacle upon your demise that everything funnels into. And then you could actually buy the trust document, control it from the grave by saying where things should go, how things should be done, and who should do what. So it's a way for you to be a pharaoh, where you can say, this is where I want my cat to go, this is where I want my belongings to go. Ultimately, so the estate process is what we talked about earlier, which is a living will, setting up your power of attorneys, your durable, your medical, what happens to you if you become incapacitated, and then it also includes the process of, okay, unfortunately you've met your demise. Now where do you want these assets to go? And then depending on your financial situation, we should recommend to you the right vehicle that's one, cost effective, but also helps you reach your goal of what you have for those assets. And for different folks, those are different types of trusts and structures.
All right, I'm gonna tell you something, man. There's a couple things I learned about Charles Schwab in the past couple of years. For one, the man is very much alive. that was something that I learned. The other thing is that you guys actually have a bank. Two million clients with accounts, which I had no idea. Talk to me about the strategy behind it. Is it intentional? Is it like, if you know, or are you looking specifically for people that open brokerage accounts to be banking clients? What's the strategy there?
Well, the initial strategy was, and this goes back to our ethos, is to look at everything through the client's eyes. And what we were noticing clients were doing were they would trade, and then they would try to figure out ways to get money out to a bank so they could actually live off that money. So what we saw as an opportunity was, we know that there's always a bull market for convenience, was to open up a bank and offer that to our clients to being the middle person that money flows out of, a place where you can do effectively. We also saw it as a great vehicle to attract younger investors as well, because it's an online bank. It's not marketing, or it's not well known that it has 2 million accounts, or it's the 10th largest but it's meant to be an attractor for the young. Brick and mortar has proven to not necessarily been their thing. Thirdly, opportunities, because I've heard y'all on previous calls talk about security-based lending and things of that nature. It gives us opportunity to offer those things as well, because now we have a bank charter. And we have the opportunity to also offer different ways of providing liquidity.
You want to explain that? We talked about it, but you're there, you're in the building, so you want to talk the security-backed loans that Charles Schwab offers?
Yeah, so ours is called asset line. They can call different things in places, but ours is called asset line. Well, you can take the equities and fixed income bonds you may have in portfolio, and you can use that in order to draw a loan, or as a line of credit, and it has benefits. It has benefit because one doesn't show up on your credit report. Two, you also have your own assets as backing. Third, this is the way that we learned that the wealthy you should get cash other than life insurance or whole life insurance policy. It's like you can secure it. Example, and I'm just going to point to something we talked about earlier in the show. Micro. We've seen a huge run up in micro over the last, we call it 6 months. Core people do not want it to be on capital. So what we see clients doing in this case, I've had this huge position, it down. It's liquidity off that was saying, put it in my pocket. What can I do? And voila, right, security-based loans or cash asset line is an opportunity for you to get access to that cash at a low interest rate, to where you can start to enjoy some of the fruits of that.
Security-backed loans.
You know, spending on your estate plan. Something happens to you that want to get paid
It's
off.
key right there. Security-backed loans.
To your family. No more
Security-backed
having to wait
lines of credit.
Someone to enjoy their wealth.
And the equity continues to grow.
And the equity
continues to grow. We see people use it to buy homes.
Then you can pay that up.
And then maybe use it
It's like free
for
capital.
mortgage, for example.
If the equity
other
continues
things we
to
see,
grow, yo, you can pay
as
back
it
the
continues to
loan
build
with
that
the
wealth. So
the
it
extra
is always
depreciation.
you have to liquidate and pay taxes. There's other ways for you also to gain access to
You
your
get
system.
another loan. No, because if you
Now, for
liquidate,
everyone here who's
sort of the
managing
position that's gonna be
can
taxable,
you talk to
but
them about the importance of still
the
having
initial
a
loan was still
finance professional that they can lean on? Because I think it's an either or.
more
for a lot of
favorable,
people.
more efficient
Can you
than
talk
liquidate.
about even if you have
initially.
2, 3, 4, 500,000,
Clever,
you are doing that in the
clever.
market, how a finance professional is going to benefit you.
Yeah, absolutely. It just goes to the similar adage of, I don't respect LeBron's game. I've seen it, longevity, but I was around when MJ was around. And not the word who a lot of people consider the greatest player of all time, he's still needed a cut. Need someone to talk him into how to not want to choke all the teammates all the time. Or how to play team basketball, how to play team defense. Maybe different ways of shooting his three, right? Because didn't have with financial services, they rate at a part of this, right? Financial planning is like 7 steps, right? And then all those other topics I was going to you might have that investment. You might not have that. Or that. You might stay you get all this money. Or going somewhere you don't want to go. Right? I've worked with just clients who were married, made a bunch of money, got divorced, died, and then remarried. But the money was their first spot because of others. Right? So there's always a goal of this thing. Even if you're not paying for the service, I think it's good to have someone to bounce ideas off of and to just continue to sharpen yourself. Because we all are going to learn something from each other, just sitting and everything. Why you just need free phone now? Why didn't you think, well, why not? Because we did. shake out. So if you get all the way to year 10 and you don't take it down, you get IRS. And then there may be really less of it.
It's just like the government, they're gonna force you to take money because they need to pay this. So just explain like R&Ds.
Either 401k or traditional IRA. Upon reaching 72 and a half, you have to start distributing based on the amortization chart and the actuarial charts. So usually, whatever amount you have to account, usually divided by 25, 23, you start accounting the dollar amounts get larger. That's because the government gave you free tax-free money to your 401k as you were making use of it, and now the 503 to be paid. So you grow tax-free, which is the front, but they also look at the back side, so the market's already growing there. They don't get more from you on the back end than they were going to get on the front end in the first place. Right?
So with that being said, that's extremely insightful what you just said. People think that they getting like free money, right? But it's like tax rates go up over the course of time, and with inflation, you got to take out more money just to keep the same lifestyle that children. So the government's actually, like you said, they're gonna make more money. With that insight, is it better to do a Roth IRA than a traditional IRA?
Yes, it is. And sometimes you may be fortunate enough to where you make more than you can contribute directly into a Roth IRA, which for everyone is doing that, they go. But you always want to look at it such as putting back and moving one Roth before you retire. The other part that I didn't mention, talking about R&D, is there's a lot of folks who retire that go on Medicaid, and you may now have to start paying for services that you didn't before, or your Social Security may get taxed depending on when you hire, because income amounts you're getting. So it's just like it's such.
You said backdoor conversion.
Yeah. So
explain that for the audience.
Yeah, from your free tax or your 401k. Part of your now take grow tax free and purpose too. So you do not have to pay taxes on the gain or any of the consumption. Different than a traditional or 401k. You have to pay taxes on every.
Get your wrong. I'm gonna float it out with pretty much at least once a day, if not twice a day. What are the characteristics that you notice in Roth, right? So a lot of people try. There's something that they have that might be that might be that they're missing. What are the characteristics that you see in people who have accumulated wealth?
There's a few of them. The first one that I think is very important is that they have a vision and they're usually not going to make trades unless they have to. Example that is living beneath your means. Right? There's some people who just simply do not want to keep up with the Joneses because they never met them or so I think going to, and the reason why I use the Joneses is because I would just make a quick description of that. The Joneses buy liabilities. The millionaire next door buys assets. So don't spend your money on things that will produce money for you. Number two, I would say, is they're disciplined. They don't make a lot of emotional decisions. What is their financial plans? Where they live? They're doing right. Third, assuming they're not a 401k millionaire, and it's not a shame on any of those, because with small business owners, it's a little different. They work hard and they do not enjoy life. They're always being responsive, an entrepreneur. And that does lead into wanting to, go to New York and maybe not be on camera like some of you weren't this weekend, like I heard at the beginning of the show, right? It may lead to you missing the next, right? And then you missing a family vacation because you have to be available. Fourth and lastly, they recognize that money is a tool that is not everything. And they're choosing to make a trade-off now to have more options later. Mm-hmm. So there's people who worship money, but they spend it as fast as they get it. I call that regressing to the mean. Right? If you had nothing, you get something, you go back to nothing, that's regressing to the mean.
You glorify what you want to
wow. They may a little bit of it, but most of it they're going to put somewhere else where they can have compounding work in their favor, so they can have bulk and more options. Because that's what money is. Money is options.
Preach.
As a follow-up, like, what's one lesson about money or lesson you wished people learned earlier in life? You talked about it. Some people don't even have the fortune to open up an account until they're 18, 19, 20, 25. With all your experience and wisdom, what's one lesson you wish people caught earlier?
That investing isn't complicated nor scary, and it's never too late to start. Even if you only got $10, it's never too late. I think people, at least in my experience, who are not wealthy right now, they look at compounding $100 and say, I need $10, right? You're talking about 10 to 20% return. You're talking about net position, right? So it's like I put $100 in and I got $20. They're like, I still can't buy it on the door. Versus looking at the return, okay, you stock away once a month. It's almost $100. If bills, it's like simple. Bills, it's not so great for you. End up just be patient and just stick to it. That's what I would say. It's never too late, and all great things come from small beginnings. Don't be afraid of that.
That's a great insight.
I know that shit like seem like
information.
Super similar to a lot. There's some things
I know you guys are coming to
that shit profound though.
Right?
Like, it's a very common measure. Like Coach and what he's saying, like you gave a lot of insight.
What do you have planned for Invest Fest? Any information?
Listening, like looking at it the entire time, but shit.
So I get the pleasure of coming and talk about confident investing. Any more what we talked about today, and what are your skills to sell reward? I'm just looking at there's never and I'm hoping to help you with confidence that no matter where you are, no matter what your background was, you got years now of time and a will, you can get to exactly where you're trying to go. You can be disciplined as well as some very basic principles. Wealth is not complex or complicated. Only the tax code is. So he's hoping to do some of those big reviews that we talk about, the greatness of the child, something called the just helping folks me and help people the way I am. Great financial literacy everywhere we get, and to show people that you don't have to look like you see on TV.
VIP night? You will be at
Okay.
All those China said he needs an invite. He has been invited already.
Yeah, he's about it.
All right. He will be there.
I'll see you.
For the time.
Yeah.
And we're planning on really phone call today. Between the person hosting and the person. Demonstrating.
Yes.
He's going to be and Jim, I've been trying to reach out to you for a long time.
Yeah.
And then Derek, you get of culture. You get every section of culture, and nobody's left out. And there's a message for everybody. No matter where you are in life, no matter who you are in life, no matter what your personality is, no matter what you've been through, there's a message for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, relationship outside of me, like I was gonna say my it's been incredible. As you said, he's been able to go on the way that the business started doing us. The weekend that they just had, just from set off. It's been all that comes together for 1 weekend.
Or ChatGPT will give you a plan of execution hour by hour as you're learning the information. Don't go take notes and go home Monday, get back to work.
High assets, borrow against those assets. So when we're saying buy shares, this is why
It's a teachable moment. Everybody with these narratives.
The show is free.
No, but we gotta teach with correction. You teach with correction. So it's important to understand because sometimes you just say things and you yourself don't fully understand. Everybody charges for everything. The statement within itself doesn't even make any sense. What ethnicity, nationality has a functional economy without commerce? What is the definition of commerce?
Exchange.
A trade of money for goods and services.
No bullshit. No pre-biblical times.
When they was trading, it's been around. What you need to understand is that the prices that black entrepreneurs charge for their goods and services on average is actually 65% lower than their white counterparts. And they're running with a narrative that they themselves don't even fully understand because somebody else told them. Now, how is that detrimental to the black entrepreneur? Because the black entrepreneur makes 50 cents for every $1 white. That's why most black $5,000. For your actually charge twice as much, and guess what? You'll pay it with no problem
for a standard pass. Everybody's also, people are going to charge you $5 for the conversation. Anyone who has I'll say all the time. From Derek Falcon and Jim. A bunch of things you can learn. Even just the cinematic. I'll do this with a rapper in the car. There's something to learn about the quality of it. 19 keys. If you go and put pen to pad at every session, the issue is a lot of y'all be trying to learn that from home.
It's filthy, man. That's a stage. That's the person sitting next to you.
Yes.
Like, you don't it's equally as important, man. Everything has to be intentional. Like when that question about, that I asked you about what characteristics do you see in the wealthy?
Yeah.
You being deliberate, you gotta take that to heart. Be
For sure.
With every interaction, you can learn. I'm trying to learn. Overview from any situation or the environment. Right? What did I see? Can I learn this? How can I be better today? How can I do that better? Every single day. That should be good.
No, because it's $25,000.
I thought it was 3 days.
You have to don't even let you pay. I want you to
And another thing, somebody said, if you do something, you can get 1,000 friends that everybody wants for free. If everybody gets for free, who's going to pay? And this is important, so to teach the audience. A lot of times,
for sure.
GBTC said that that's a $100 million impact. I didn't say that. Well, let's cut it in half. Let's cut it in half. Let's say it has a $50 million impact. All right, you guys aren't stupid. You know we're not making $50 million because if we was, we wouldn't do market money.
Yes, we
No, at least
after 5 years, if we're making $50 million a year off a weekend,
I'm all out.
let's be honest. So
I joke.
It's not true, Rashad. The love of the people will drive you back, my brother.
Which is
So if it's a $50 million impact for impact is for other people that doesn't include us, right? You're actually helping to stimulate. So when people say like, sometimes you need to actually see things to have a understanding, because it's cliche, like circulate the dollar. What does that even mean? Circulate the dollar. Well, that's what it means. It means by you spending your hard-earned $150, $250, right? By you spending your hard $250, when a collective of people do that as well, that helps to pay security, that helps to pay janitorial, that helps to pay the AV, that helps to pay the Uber driver, that helps to pay for hotels. And then from there, those people go to the grocery store. That helps to pay the farmer's market. Then from there, those people buy clothes. That helps to pay the entrepreneur that has a clothing line. And then from there, those people pay for educational services for their children. That helps to pay the teacher that has a side hustle. And then from there, that person goes to pay the trainer because they need to get in shape. So $1 or $250, now you understand, hopefully, a little better of how, when we talk about dollars circulating, and how, $1 really can start to change things because it has a ripple effect. That $1 turns into 100 over the course of time. And look how many people that you actually help.
And that you get exposure to who normally wouldn't even have these conversations. Like, Mike Novogratz and Kathy on stage at the same time. Like, them kind of conversations, if you don't know, if you wanted to book them to have that talk, it's going to be $200. So they keep saying another conversation. This show is free.
I was talking billions they're talking.
I produce millionaires from the show. If I made you money, please put it in chat.
Mike and
can we share the show? I'm getting ready to tell you.
So you would like, but also add some level of help. If you
Richmond, I got you. I'm tired.
If you want the show to be free, then put up $3 million and we'll do it for free. That's how much it costs to that's how much it costs to go to the restaurant. Maybe more.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, well, hold on. Again, the cost, because they just look at what it gets total. What's the cost to do it each year?
$3 to $4 million. Let's just say that. How much money have we gotten from the city of Atlanta? We haven't gotten any money from the city of Atlanta. Yeah. So
I don't know.
To date.
So you're saying that you're doing it for free. One, okay, this is educational. You know that cities actually help fund events, and corporations help, and they write millions of dollars behind it, and there's grants, and there's so even when you make something,
if it's bringing economic
educated in business, so you're not speaking from an educated point of view. When you black, it's going to be 10 times harder. Even if you empower our black, that can help you because they won't.
Or they're not allowed to because of blowback they may get from Washington. What level is it? It's 45 minutes show. Let's go through 40 stops. Like the prices, we wrap this shit up. Yo, let's take the time away from my kids.
Atlanta, the blackest city in America, we haven't gotten any help. We're helping them. They're not helping us. No, that's a fact. If it was for us, we would get help. But that goes back to the mentality of what you guys are saying in the comments.
Yeah, they let them create photos. Full is black.
Josh Bar.
We know the guy that created that. That's what. We're not in.
Okay. Before we want Nigeria have the number one stock market percentage-wise in the world?
For sure.
Shout out to EYL Africa.
Yes.
If you're not following, follow EYL Africa. We started a new content page where we're just focusing on content from the continent. EYL Africa on Instagram. You want to talk about this? Nigeria?
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting when we're talking about percentage growth. Does that mean that Nigeria has the companies on the planet? Does it have trillion dollar companies? No, it just says that there is growth happening, and a lot has to do with what Aliko Dangote has been able to do in terms of the oil refinery, and like that could be it. I can't wait to sit down and have that conversation, hopefully at the refinery itself, because from the idea of import versus export, right? You're talking about a company that actually has oil, had to ship it out, had to export it to have it refined, and then was charged to bring it back. Double. And that's now being reversed with the refineries that he got online over the past couple of years. And so you need which is how SK Hynix, how that has helped the originally that was in the world it's pulled this Nigeria steadily went for the Nigerian stock exchange to Africa. Shout out to you.
Got the Dangotes.
No,
You don't know who Aliko Dangote is. Aliko Dangote is the black person on planet Earth. They estimate is $28 billion, but from what I heard, you can know that. And his brother, he's as far as his wealth. Nigeria. Go to Nigeria, you see Dangote.
This is big. That's why I like it so important. This is like 15 years ago. This is concrete. This is
fertilizer, concrete, oil.
Like he's an infrastructure company in his own.
And yes, USD. When we say billion, we're talking USD. We're not talking in Naira. He's estimated to be worth 20 billion USD. Like I said, from what I heard,
he gave an interview. They asked him about it. They gave him an interview. He was like, I don't pay attention to that, but it's much more. Then now the estimate with the new refinery is at 60 billion.
Yeah, he's reaching 75. It's 80. If we get real.
It changes, the refinery changes the entire economy of a country, right? There's over 200 million people there. When you're talking about a product or a resource that they used to have to import, they are now becoming further ahead in terms of exporting it to other countries, right? Before they had to export it to get it refined, to bring it back in to now use. It's an expensive process and it's not done. The project alone costs like $45 billion. So he's not done with the project. But what it will do to the future of the country and eventually the continent, because this thing is like, yes, we want to show people that Africa has it and we can do things. And this is the first of many projects that hopefully other and people that accumulate assets will see and continue to carry that flag of infrastructure, business that happen on the continent. One of the most important men on the planet.
For those who don't know, I'm going to ask about the IPO, same with 6 months, yes. For an infrastructure company to have a private of 23%, if this was Elon, right? What he's doing has been unprecedented. I do love the coverage of Africa. And for Africa, there's a couple that are undervalued, and if they were, UBA is more valuable than America by far. They don't really talk to it in the same light. But after the IPO and after the same definitely have more business.
Somebody said that he's got a project in Kenya. We're very familiar. We're very familiar. It don't stop just in Nigeria. The continent's moving.
We've been doing a show for 2.5 hours for 6 years. Chopper style, chop. Okay, y'all want to complain? Be nice. Y'all don't know me. Ooh, boy. Boy, after they stop playing, yo, you did it once a month. I vote executive chair. 45. All in favor say 45. Not the 45, 47, but 45.
You know,
Okay.
does not like this.
Blackout on Wednesday. We're gonna talk about Jay-Z. Maybe Detroit might join us.
Pulling up.
Yes, we gotta talk about it.
Yo, he called me. Somebody said we have so we're on the phone in the car 3:30 in the morning debating about when I hung up they look like, yo, what's wrong with you? Yeah, I couldn't wait till the morning. Before we go to bed and it came out this morning and we did it again. About it. I'm pulling up. Wednesday I'm pulling up. Now, my man Ernie talked about sacrifice, and I forgot this. Sometimes, yes, family time does get sacrificed. I wish a happy birthday to my father-in-law. He turned 70 yesterday. Happy birthday, Mr. B. They all at dinner right now. They probably finished with dinner by this point. But happy birthday, man. 70 is something that, you know, you can't take for granted. We're happy having him. No, he came over. You've been
on board the last 2 weeks.
He came over. And then they took him out. He went to go to steakhouse. So, I know. I saw him. Is what I'm saying. I didn't go to dinner yesterday. They got
So you took the meeting.
No, it's closed on Sunday.
All day Sunday?
Yeah, it's closed on Sunday. The joint got by women.
Every steakhouse is closed on Sunday?
No, he wanted to go to that one. Nah. He wanted to go to that specific one, and it's local. But let's see. I'll see what the bill was tonight. Hopefully it was some respectful. Happy birthday, CB. Happy birthday, my brother. Happy birthday to CB.
CB?
Yeah, his birthday today.
Happy birthday.
Yeah,
Happy
shout out
birthday.
to shout out to
Real quick, I'll tell you about in the comments, community partnership. Like when I was a kid and my brother did something at the house, and my mom got off work, I got in trouble too. Don't cultivate that around me. When I was in the comments, 45. There's a presentation for the weekly commentary.
They're gonna be like, yo, what happened? I missed it.
What happened?
Yeah, you missed it.
Shout us out.
John Rule, Thursday, 12 o'clock, Charlton Rule.
Dykeman, we back.
Wednesday at 7 o'clock in Dykeman.
We be back. Pull up on us.
All right, y'all. It's been real.
Love.
If y'all want to know how to get rich from the market, go to eninvest.com and join the panel. See and Stock Club call live Sunday of this month.
Yeah.
And today's the last day for pre-sale for Best Buy. It's in tonight. Pre-sale tonight. Inshallah.
Yeah, love.
Saturday, Friday.
Voice and in the billable hour. In the billable hour. We want flat rates. We want flat rates, gang. The billable hour shit. Fuck all that. Fuck that. I gotta get this motherfucking NPC connected though, cause yo, you fuck niggas in trouble when I get this shit. Like when I learn to get fluent in this shit, cause they might like, hey, up until this point, when I just got it, I had bought a machine, the Native Instruments machine. They just got bought by a company back in May. In music. You know, the in music already own Akai, and others, Alesis, MIDI keyboards, and several others. Yeah, just they just acquired Native Instruments, which is a machine. Which owned machine. So I guess they're going through like like an integrating whatever. Just transferring things over. They didn't get back to me. It was a used one, so it didn't come with the licensing and then the software, whatever. Was exchanging it at the Guitar Center. Bro told me, this shit more efficient workflow, and it is indeed. Shout out to him. The advice. First got there, got off on the wrong page, resolved it. Facilitated. Better choice. I learned. Watch. Give me 30 days. Not even 30 days. As I get more fluent in this shit, though, I ain't gonna probably, depending on how much time I invest, master it 30 days, that'll be great. It's my fluency, man. This shit the workflow finna get much greater. Stay tuned. Gotta piss. Trying to see how to map one sample across all the pads. Let me read this one article real quick, man. Because it said something about Project Sleep Tea. I wasn't aware. Unless I forgot. I briefly seen something, then I forgot, but shit. Project Sweet Pea is the reported code name for an OpenAI consumer hardware device, widely rumored to be an AI native audio wearable or earbud system. The code name, form factor, specifications, and pricing have not been officially confirmed by OpenAI. What is confirmed is that OpenAI is building a family of AI devices with Johnny Ive and the former IO Products team. What appears credible. OpenAI acquired Ive's hardware startup IO Products in a transaction valued at roughly $6.5 billion, integrating its hardware team while Johnny Ive and Love Front retained broad design leadership. Love Front. I'm familiar. That is not a speculative side project. That is not a speculative side project. It signals a serious attempt to build a new consumer computing platform around AI. OpenAI has reportedly expanded its hardware organization beyond 200 people and explored several product categories, including audio devices, smart speakers, cameras, glasses, and ambient home hardware. Reuters reported that a current product roadmap may extend beyond a single device. OpenAI executives have publicly acknowledged plans to release consumer hardware, but precise details remain guarded. Reports have variously placed the first launch in late 26 or 27, so the timeline should be treated as fluid rather than committed. The rumored Sweet Pea configuration with the leak stack describes Sweet Pea as two capsule-like audio modules or peels. Two capsule-like audio modules or peels. What is it saying? Like earbuds? Look at them, audio module, each of a set of standardized parts or independent units that can be used to construct a more complex structure, such as an item of furniture or a building. Okay. An independent, self-contained unit of a spacecraft, computing any number of distinct but interrelated units from which a program may be built up, or into which a complex activity may be analyzed. So I was more familiar with the computing definition. It makes sense because like certain, fixtures and shit like that, and just explain furnitures or building like modular. A distinctive metal egg-shaped carrying or charging unit. Possible open ear, behind the ear, or bone conduction style architecture rather than conventional sealed earbuds. Behind the ear, bone conduction style. Bone conduction style. Possible open ear. Voice first access to ChatGPT and OpenAI agents. Potential onboard AI processing through a custom advanced chip. A device intended to challenge more than AirPods. It could reduce dependence on looking at a phone. The details trace largely to supply chain reporting, Asian technology publications, and leakers. They are plausible, but they should not be presented as settled product specifications, the apparent product thesis. Sweet Pea did not win by merely being AirPods with ChatGPT. Apple, Google, and Meta could replicate that later. The stronger thesis is an always available cognitive interface that hears context, understands intent, and executes actions without requiring the screen. I ain't gonna say that's stronger. That's a stronger thesis. It's hard for me. Like, what could that be? I'm curious. It can hear. It's always available. Cognitive interface. What? That hears context, understands intent, and executes executes actions without requiring the screen. The product would potentially combine perception, reasoning, memory, and action. For example, you speak naturally. The device interprets your intent and its surrounding context. The AI accesses your authorized messages, calendar, documents, applications, and agents. It performs and prepares the action and communicates only the decision or information that matters. That turns audio hardware into an agentic command layer. Not simply a playback accessory. While audio is strategically attractive, one existing user behavior, hundreds of millions of people wear earbuds. OpenAI would not need to train users to carry an entirely foreign object. The problem that weaken devices such as M9 AI Pen to lower interaction friction. Talking is faster than opening an application, navigating menus, typing at prompt, and interpreting a screen. Through persistent availability and AI that is accessible through the ear can accompany walking, training, producing, commuting, filming, and conducting meetings for content capture. Multiple microphones and possibly additional sensors could enable the system to understand conversations. Multiple microphones and possibly additional sensors could enable the system to understand conversations surrounding speakers and acoustic events subject to consent and fuck. Be back briefly. Let me take a quick nap. I gotta figure this fucking. Bro, wait till I get this fucking NPC though. Figure it out, man. Tap in about an hour or two. Infinity.